It's Stephanie.
Okay, so you're listening to B800
Okay, quiet now,
AM
Stephanie.
Tackle Bait Fishing Show. We're here with my name is Kevin Jacobson. That's Virgil. Across the way here, we're in my garage for this show. I got a Craftsman tool chest.
It's a U.S. General.
U.S. General, and I don't know if you remember or not, Virgil, but Sears is going out of...
Drawer lock series, too.
Yeah, well, Sears is going out of business, so that means the Craftsman warranties, you can't go to Sears anymore to get your Craftsman tools.
So don't buy no warranties from Sears.
Well, I believe DeWalt recently bought Craftsman. So now your warranties will be honored through DeWalt now, but you can't go to Sears anymore. And I know quite a few mechanics. I'll ask them, well, what kind of wrenches are you using? Are you using this snap-on wrenches? Are you using the right tools? And they'll say that they're using Craftsman wrenches, the Craftsman Professional Series, because and those are a lot less expensive than the snap-on tools, but they swear by them. Well, I was worried for a lot of my mechanic friends, wondering, you grease monkeys can't get your warranties anymore with Sears. But thankfully, DeWalt's going to honor it. So,
are you being paid by someone right now for this plug or what?
Well, I'm just saying, I got a Craftsman tool.
If someone's about to go out and buy a shitload of tools tomorrow, you're making this little review for that one guy.
I just didn't realize maybe you do. Well, what do you use then, Virgil? What's your...
Well, Craftsman, I use Craftsman, yeah. I actually had a drawer lock series that I had to fix because the lock was broken. I bought it and the lock was broken. I had to pull out the top drawer. If you don't know, there's a little clip that comes down when you pull out the little drawer there. They'll have this little... Sometimes it's orange, and sometimes they're just plain old white. And you take a flathead screwdriver there, Phillips.
Sure.
Not anti-Phillip, I mean, and you'll just pop it back, and you'll do it on the other side. You'll go, one of the clips will go up, and on the far side, on the opposite, the clip will go down. And with that, you'll push them in. And that's what I learned, and I popped out the top drawer, and then I
there's this neighbor kid.
And if you know anything about locking a tool chest, you'll know if you lock the top drawer, usually all the other drawers will lock. So,
sure.
Bottom line is this. If you're buying a Craftsman tool chest, at least open the top drawer and see if the damn thing locks. No wonder Sears is going out of business because they're selling these shitty broken toolboxes. But I like Craftsman, so I'm not gonna lambast them, or I'm not gonna be a spokesperson for them either. But thanks for the info, Kev. That is helpful, and I hope some viewers will know better now. Some of us kept their cell phones turned on.
That's my granddaughter here.
I tell my granddaughter that I'm in a prayer meeting when I come here and shoot the shit with Gav here, which is he's back and sitting in at the radio station with us today. It's good to have him back here.
Thanks, Virgil.
How long have you been sober there?
I've been sober for 23 days now. I've been going...
I'm not going to stand up and clap for 23 days like they might do in AA, but, I mean, at least you're not fucked up. Oh, man. I apologize for the language there. It just kind of shoots out of you like a bullet.
Well, I had this neighbor kid over who was helping me with my pole shed. And I told him 7 o'clock Saturday morning. That's this morning. It's a Saturday today. If the viewers are listening to this online on the podcast and not live and from the studio here. And the neighbor kid, I told him 7 o'clock we need to be tools on, ready to work. And he was he was gonna help me build my pole shed.
Were you gonna pay him with a hammer? But have you ever given a kid a hammer for helping you? And when he leaves, you give him a hammer?
Well, I mean, that's one way to kind of build his artillery for tools. But I mean, if a kid doesn't even have a hammer, maybe he shouldn't be working. I mean, that's kind of one of the essentials. I mean, hammer, tape measure, tool belt, and a knife. It's really all you need to do most tasks. But
have you seen the movie? What's that good flick that was with Clint Eastwood?
Sure. Gran Torino. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
He says that a man is worth his weight in salt, or isn't, I should rephrase. A man ain't worth his weight in it. A man ain't worth his own salt if he can't do the basic household chores with some vice grips, some duct tape, and pliers. No. You can fill in the blank with your own, but we here at the show are big proprietors of duct tape. We love the stuff. Kevin loves it so much so that he even one time taped up his family.
So there I was with this kid, and this neighbor kid came over.
Sure.
And 7:07 is when he showed up. And I said, look, this is the reason why you have to keep doing these side jobs, is because you don't have an actual job, because work starts at 7. That means tools on. That means ready to work. We're hanging this shed.
Notice
7
he
a.m.
came at an odd time to do an odd job. 7:07.
Well, he could have came at 6:57. That would have been an odd time for an odd job too.
Exactly.
But he didn't.
Yeah.
Heck, he can come at 6:59. 6:59. 7 o'clock means that's when work starts.
Sometimes I don't always agree with everything you're saying, but right there, you just hit the hammer right on the head. I mean, you just tackled the bait right there, and that's what we're all about on the show. You're listening to the Tackle B800 on your local AM stations.
And here's
can we get a weather update and then for what's going on in the Red River Valley?
Okay, we'll get Cass County weather report here. We'll do.
What's that, a D-Walt radio there? You got the 20-watt max?
Sure, yeah, I got the 20-volt max. So we have 75 degrees, sunny, Cass County.
I saw that V is a W.
Z, sure, that's hard, yeah. Well, we
I
got
don't have glasses.
precipitation.
We're all not as young as you and your little neighbor boy that you do God knows what with.
Humidity's at 14%, and the wind's at 11.5. That was regarding the inspection for the. That was it. That was an update on
the weather report.
No, that was the traffic report, Virgil.
Hi, this is Tim Dibbs from Mice You Can't Hide. Do you have mice running around in your basement where your kids play, in the toys and the cement floors? That can be a pesky problem. We know that already. Here over at Rats You Have Nowhere to Hide / mice, parentheses, you have nowhere to hide. We here know that there is a real epidemic in your basement with mice and rats that belong in the sewer but find a way into your beautiful, lovely suburban home. We here at Rats You Can't Hide have manifested a solution to this problem that is reading off the script.
Hey.
Here we are. Here, and
I don't like this guy. Hey, shut that shit off. Hey, you can't plug it. That was a prank call. That wasn't a commercial. We're not licensed with that guy.
Lake of the
Rats
Woods
You Can't
sturgeon
Hide do not provide them.
to be caught up and down the Rainy River. jump around the deeper holes with the sturgeon rig loaded up with crawlers and or frozen shiner minnows. Anchor your boat upstream of a deep hole and pitch your rig into it. Northern pike fishing is going strong in the shallow bays, and with most fish being taken on the buzz baits, spinner baits, or a frozen Cisco on the bottom.
Kev, why you got a baby bike seat there and no front wheel? You think you're gonna get somewhere? I notice it's a woman's bike, so you have that defense that it was a woman who didn't finish a job. Surprise, surprise. But what do you got going on there? And next to your "we can do it" sign, I'd say that's a pretty for sure sword tail. That is exactly what you can do, because there's a broken bike hanging up right by this woman flexing.
Well, actually,
because
Virgil,
women are just shitty men, right, with muscles. Women are just like men now, right?
Okay, so you're listening to B800 AM on your AM radio station. We do fishing reports from North Dakota and Minnesota, as well as some South Dakota, depending on if we get.
Dale coming on today.
I'm not sure if he was making it on the show today or not. Might be next show.
It's Kev's cousin.
I'm glad to be back here. It's been kind of a hiatus the last few months, and I was had an injury with ice fishing over the winter time. I fell into the ice there, trying to get my fish house out in March, and they recommend about mid-February you get the fish houses out. But the deal is we had such a late winter once more this year. I mean, Virgil, we didn't have snow even until Christmas time, it seemed. I mean, Thanksgiving, it was T-shirts when we were working. And, well, now you only get a month to ice fish the last few years. So I try to see what I can get away with. Well, it bit me then because I went down with my fish house. And
how long were you down there? Did you black out? And you were down there?
Well, luckily, I mean, when we were kids, I mean, we would go down to the, swimming hole, and
yeah, the swimming.
Well, they were irrigation ditches more or less, but we were.
Or the coulee.
Well, there were sloughs and coulees around. Sure, that's where we would do our bird hunting.
The sloughs, or the
That's where we did our bird hunting, and we would.
Brook or creek or.
Sure, yeah, it's you get your cattails around there, and there's a little slough, and that's where you do your bird hunting. And well, we were swimming around there. So when we were kids,
dogs. That's what my grandson calls them, the cattails. We call them hot dogs.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of do look like hot dogs. Yeah.
You put them in
That's
a bun,
funny you say it like that. Sure. Yeah, you could almost put them in a bun and put some ketchup and some mustard on it, and pretty much look just like a hot dog there.
Yeah, I actually got some. I think he got 25-cent piece from actually selling one to one of the local neighbor ladies, and I don't know if she actually tried to take a bite out of it or not. She probably wouldn't remember, but boy, she's a lovely lady either way. I mean, I'm married happily, of course, and so are you, but I mean, she's got pretty good
happily
vision.
Ever after.
She's got a good enough vision to know that it was brown, that it was a cattail looking thing. Maybe she was just doing the kid a favor. I don't know. I was not there.
Well, you know what you need to teach your kids, your grandkids, is you need to make sure
to love the Lord.
Well, of course, you need to teach them those traditional values, but you also need to teach them that you don't get paid until the job's done. I mean, these kids I have over working on my pole sheds, they'll come up to me and they'll want money up front. I said, what in the heck did you just say to me? What in the heck did you just say to me? Money up front. It's
then
always been.
Then they'll just bike away and they'll go buy a popsicle
well, they
stick
think
and they won't come back.
They're taking me for a jabroni. They think that I'm just a sucker that
was credit when we were kids. If we helped out the old man Hennigan or next door, I mean, we'd be lucky if we could go to the store and if we had a dime, we could buy 10 hamburgers. But, we'd be lucky if he even gave us a dime at that because we were learning. We were getting credits on the job.
Right, you're getting
experience.
that's right. I mean,
We
sure,
had
even if
honor
you don't
and
get
integrity.
paid, maybe when you try to apply for an outfit when you get out of 8th grade, when school's done, and you apply for an outfit,
You gotta
maybe
start
they'll put you down
contributing
as
right away.
as a reference.
Yeah, do you think some little girl's gonna marry you if you don't have meat on the table? I mean, you gotta feed the family. You gotta start.
Well,
when
you
you're
gotta
13.
provide, and that's
If
these.
you're a 13-year-old boy and you don't have a job and you're asking for people to front you money, you're on the wrong track, bud. You gotta check yourself before. Well, that's what my old man used to say: is check yourself before you wreck yourself. But it's just unreal. Do you think that has to do with the new culture that we're living in, Kev, or if it's the TV, or
I
our
think what it is, I'll tell you what it
is.
is.
That's what it's so often referred to, the babysitter.
Well, these kids, what do they have to worry about? I mean, they're so coddled. I mean, I suppose they have it pretty good. I see kids in the grocery store, throwing a fit, and then they'll get a chocolate bar for throwing a fit. And I go up to them. I say, hey, why don't you try for 2 chocolate bars next
Why
time?
don't you try to respect your mother? How about for once?
No, I tell them, why don't you try for 2 chocolate bars next time? That's a pretty good
that's
racket.
gonna get you somewhere, right?
That's a pretty good racket. You just try to get what you want, and these
Yeah.
kids get into school. They do the same thing. They don't want to do the homework. They don't want to do the work.
Join the Italian mob, kid.
Right, do something. Work. I mean,
At that rate, what do you think?
You
You're
gotta
gonna be
work.
A mobster?
You gotta work hard
do you
in
wanna
this
live
world.
that life? Do you want to have to go into the witness
It's
protection
tough out there. I mean, you
program?
you
wanna
gotta
have to
work.
try to figure out how you're gonna hide your whole life. No, so get an honest, hardworking, blue-collar job like Cover I have, and even if you just start tinkering around with the pipes down in the basement, your dad will understand. Even if you bust one open, I did the same thing. So just do something. Speaking of grocery stores, I was down at the local 7-Eleven, and there's a woman there, and she's probably about the age that Virgin Mary was, and she's at the ice cream cooler, and she's asking her son if this popsicle or ice cream bar will be good enough. And guess what the sentence says? Oh, wait,
What's it say?
Before I tell you,
Sure.
I got to say this real quick. He's already at the ice cream cooler. If I would have been damn lucky if even one time I would have even been offered. On the farm, of course, we were able to make ice cream, but the equivalency of that in a store to just, hey, here's ice cream just for being you, just for being cute. You just get an ice cream bar just for existing. The kid's gonna grow up his whole life thinking that the
With that
government owes him a
complex.
dime.
Well, that complex,
to get
sure.
on welfare, and then
Well,
But
don't
so
even.
guess what this kid says? He has the gall to say this to his mother. He says, "Get that shit out of my face, bitch." And I apologize for the language, but this is a true story. It is not made up. She's offering him ice cream. Where do you go from there, folks? Do you just say, okay, is she going to walk away with ice cream yet again and just enable him furthermore? Why even give him ice cream after that comment? You know what I mean? It's just, they're radicalizing laziness. Can you push it even further? How about not? How about tradition? How about we conserve the way that we've been living? How about you don't need to
who's
take a
gonna
bath every single hour? You can take it.
Who's gonna be working to keep the world going? They're not working. They're not gonna be working. It's tough out there. You gotta work hard to get anything in this world.
I think we have I think we've had a drastic change in the weather. Wow, that is a weird tornado siren.
Well, I better get over to my
Hit the
cousin's
truck,
farm.
hit the road.
Well, we need to get to the
Have
farm.
you ever chased a storm?
You know, actually, Virgil, I haven't. Maybe we should get in the truck and go.
I like the way that sounds. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Well, you're listening to B800 Tackle Bait AM radio show. We do fishing reports from North Dakota, Minnesota, some South Dakota. We're going to go try to find the storm here. There's a storm coming. So we'll be talking to you remotely shortly here.
And one last segment, Kev is just gonna tell us a quick, the craziest thing that's ever happened to you on the job segments. So quick, Kev, quick, deliver that note, and we'll be on our way.
Well, there was one time where there was a young kid working on site, and he was hammer drilling with
Was
a
he
1
blind?
inch.
He was working on site, or
Well, he was
Oh, the
working on the
job
job site.
Oh,
Sure. I see.
I had my funny bone
Okay.
out.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he was working, and he had the
Did you
hammer
break
drill.
your
It
funny
was
bone,
a
Kev?
Hilti corded hammer drill
Oh, that's a good, yeah.
with a 1 inch concrete bit for a 1/2 inch conduit. And he didn't have the grip on the hammer drill. So he was hammering through his overhead, a concrete wall, maybe 6-7 inches thick. Then the hammer drill bucked on him and completely lobbed off his thumb, completely clear off. It was bucking, and he didn't have the grip on. So now there's this kid bleeding, and he comes up to me. He says, "Yeah, boss, my thumb's off, and it's on the floor over there. We got to get to the ER." And I said, "Well, you're driving yourself because there's work that needs to be done around here." So I told him to get
That
into
was
his.
a blessing, if anything. That was a favor by telling him that.
Well, I
how
just
much
knew
an
he was
ambulance
gonna.
costs?
Well, I just knew he was gonna be living off the government now because he has this injury.
Yeah.
I knew he was gonna be living. So all I did is
He would have wanted compensation for the rest
that's
of
when
his
I was-
days.
That's when I was still drinking. So I went out to my truck and I got my beer cooler and I put his thumb in the beer cooler. I said, "Now, after I give you these beers for your thumb, I hope they can get it back on." But I said, I expect these beers back. I had about 4 Coors Lights, 4 pounders in my lunch pail on ice, and I gave him that. And you know what I did, Kevin?
It's illegal.
Verge?
What'd you do?
Well, this is what I did. I went back and I got the grip on the hammer drill like you're supposed to, went up on the 6-foot ladder and bored out my hole. Took 45 seconds, and you know what? I didn't lose my thumb.
Was the kid gone when you went that?
But
back
I
down
should
the
have lost
ladder?
my thumb because now he's living off the government, not having to work, and then I'm still working.
Didn't you even have to deal with his parents coming in for you by and asking where his thumb went?
Well, that was a different time back in those days. I mean, the parents
Or
apologized.
this was when you were 18 and you were a contractor?
Sure, yeah. This was when I still had my own outfit there, and before I
Yeah.
retired, and
You were trying to help society. You were trying to bring kids in.
in my,
You were-
I mean, I
You
wasn't
weren't- you
insured,
weren't
so I
working
mean,
on
he
the
wasn't.
Streets. I mean, we're not talking about obviously some Compton kids or some ghetto blasters, but I mean, you were just trying to give local
Well, the
kids
deal was,
jobs,
is, I mean,
get them off the streets.
sure, and that's really the change in time because I mean,
Great
there
stuff.
weren't no insurance back those days. There was no insurance.
There was
and,
no Obamacare.
and no, and
No
so
website
when
to fail. I mean,
when this kid
we've gone to
loses
the moon,
his
we
thumb,
can't get over
it wasn't your boss's fault that you're an idiot and lost your thumb. That it wasn't your boss's fault.
Yeah, how do you know they're even going to be? How can you trust the integrity and honesty of the kid?
He was
He's
probably
gonna
smoking
bust-
dope.
He probably busted.
He was probably smoking dope before he went to work.
How do you know if you tell him you're going to pay for it? If he has this trouble, that injury. I mean, hey, if you bust off your thumb, oh, hey, that's on me. That's not coming out of your paycheck. That's coming out of mine. Now,
right.
we have a problem
Well,
that's coming out
no,
of mine.
his parents.
How do we know he's not going to do it on purpose?
I mean, this kid was 11 years old. So, I mean, his folks came over and they actually thanked me for giving
They probably
me,
bought you a pie.
Well, they brought.
Or baked one, not pie.
Well, they brought me
That's
some
another thing.
kuchen. They had some kuchen, but it wasn't pie. But
Oh.
what they did is they thanked me for giving their kid a job in the first place. And they apologized for him not getting the job done. And back then, I mean, you were making $1.25 an hour, but that's good wages when you're working, 115 hours a week. I mean, that's for a young kid.
That's
$400.
Back over and thanked you anyway.
$400 a month back in the 60s was a lot of money.
You could
So
buy
$1.25.
4,000
He was
hamburgers.
lucky to get that
You could buy
$1.25.
4,000 hamburgers.
So with all that money, that could have been easily enough for a new thumb for him. And he ended up not getting it put back on. And I think he ended up eventually, from all of his dope, I think he ended up in a group home.
Yeah, you've probably been paying taxes on his ass ever since you tried to help him by giving him a job. Look how it comes back. I mean,
Not all of them are like that, though. I mean,
You-
some of them, they work good and,
he
they
loses
do
a
well.
leg.
And
He
but some
loses
of
a
them,
leg. If he figures out a way to lose a leg while he's hammering some shingles onto the roof, I mean, you better limp back up the ladder and thank you that you're still letting him have a job. Because now he's handicapped and he's not very good or beneficial to the company, but you're still giving him a damn paycheck. So I don't want to hear about no workman's comp.
well, anytime I've gotten hurt, and believe me, I've gotten hurt. I've never
Oh, I
gone-
know you have, Kev. This
I've
isn't
never
up
once-
for debate at all. This is a daily occurrence.
And I've never once
Who
gotten
hurt your
workman's
hand
comp because
coming
you know
in
why?
the
Because
damn
I'm not a
door to the
thief.
studio
And-
this morning. You still got a Band-Aid on that blister there. You were freaking out looking for the
And that's all I
first
gotta say
aid
for
kit,
today's
and I
radio
said,
show.
"Hell,
Thanks
heck,
for
if I
listening.
have one, I haven't
We'll
even carried
hear
one
back
of those
from
in
the viewers
over a
before we go
decade
here.
or
But for now, here's
maybe even
word from the sponsors.
2 decades. I mean, who needs Okay, yeah. You're not a thief. You stole the Band-Aid, too. Thanks for tuning in to the B800 on behalf of the B800. Catch us next week for a brand new show, and we're going to have a new segment about classify ads and reading the job reports and a few of the bombs we see around town that we've actually gone out and with a stack of applications and handed them out to the ones that will ask us for a coin or a cigarette or whatever they're smoking these days. But anyway, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening.